Today, we react to the Sony State of Play for 2024. Ubisoft's next 10 games have supposedly leaked. We'll get into that. Then, is the PlayStation VR 2 dying? We're going to talk about that a little bit. And then, a critically acclaimed game is getting delisted. That's an unfortunate story. Followed by a massively popular multiplayer game is now officially offline. We're going to talk about some of the things going on with that. And then, is it now time to say goodbye to physical games? These are the stories tonight on the Console Wars podcast. Okay, so before we begin, just want to remind everyone we have a giveaway going on. This Xbox One S, it plays games just fine. Some issues with it playing 4K on Black. It might be software-wise, but for the most part, this works perfectly fine as a game console. We are giving it away for free. Just all we require you to do is to like or dislike one of the videos with giveaway in the thumbnail, share, comment, subscribe, and then down in the comments below, mention your name and then either a public Facebook or X account that we can contact you on in case you are decided as the victor of this giveaway. I've noticed that we're getting a lot of traction build up with our videos, more subscribers, videos getting shared, but no one is putting their contact information in the comments down below on the videos. So anyone who has been actually working to help the channel get to the 1,020 subscribers, thank you. But if you're doing that to get the giveaway, you're not entered yet. You have to put in a public Facebook or X account that we can contact you at. We don't want to be sharing mailing addresses in the comments below on, the channel. So just keep that in mind. Thank you guys for all the support, but you're not entered in on that giveaway yet. Unless you're not interested in that, then, we'll move on. And then let's get into some housekeeping where we're at. You may notice that the studio's a little bit different and messy. That's because we are getting ready for a new product review coming soon, and you might notice some things are missing. That's pertaining to said product review, and so we're looking forward to doing that. And we're not doing this week by week anymore because some weeks there's just not enough information. Plus, since it's a one pony show, I don't have enough time to do this week by week and the other videos, so I'm doing it every other week or whenever there's like a huge showcase like a State of Play where we can talk about, stuff that was revealed and whatnot. Also, be sure to check out the latest video we dropped on Thursday, our Resident Evil 4 Remake review. We're also going to be doing videos on the DLC and additional things released for said game, so keep an eye out for those in the future as well. And without further ado, let's get into the show. So Wednesday they had a State of Play for Sony. Desperately needed it because Sony's 2024 was looking a little bleak. And for the most part, the show was good. I won't say it was bad, but I won't say it was amazing. Like, oh, yeah, Sony's the king. No, I'm not going to say that. But there were some interesting videos that they showed off in the State of Play. And, like, the first thing they showed off was Helldivers 2, which I don't really care about because I've heard it's an online-only game. And so I don't like live service games, so I did not care for that. But then the next video they showed in the State of Play was Stellar Blade. And while I'm not huge into Japanese heavy focus games, I will acknowledge that Stellar Blade does look really good. I have been kind of looking forward to hearing more about this game, and apparently it's coming out in April. So if anyone else was excited for Stellar Blade, you don't have to wait too long. The graphics are just mind-blowing on this thing, especially with like clothing. And I mean, this thing, if done right, it looks like it's very high frame rate and just graphically impressive. One of the most beautiful things I've seen coming out of the PlayStation 5. And so, yeah, I'll say that I'm actually looking forward to this game. And I'm glad they didn't change the design when some people complained about how the character look. It's like, I'm really glad you guys didn't fold on that. Is it impractical how they're dressed? Absolutely. But, I mean, so what? Then they had a little trailer for Sonic X Shadow Generations. I'm not a huge Sonic fan, so I didn't really care. I know there were some Sonic fans, they're like losing their collective shit because they love anything Sonic. And hey, for you guys, good for you. I mean, you know, it's just not really my cup of tea. And then there was another heavy Japanese focused game called Senless Zone Zero. And unlike Stellar Blade, this just kind of came off as obnoxious to me. It's like, we get it, you're Japanese. Okay. But yeah, so I didn't really care for that one. And then they showed a trailer for Foam Stars. And it's coming on the 6th of February, so just in 5 days. And I will be generally impressed if this game is at all successful. This feels like a half-ass knockoff of Splatoon, and I don't think anyone's really excited about this. Now, hey, it may become the biggest game since Fortnite. I don't know. I could be wrong about that, but just, I'm hearing no one eagerly anticipating that game. It just, I think it's going to be one of those games that just like, after it launches. So, then there was another game, like this indie game called Dave the Diver, and it was like nothing to me. I didn't really care for it. And then followed up by V Rising, which I will acknowledge looked like Castlevania meets like Hades. And I'm not fond of the top-down camera perspective on games. And so, again, this one didn't really excite me. This wasn't a completely disappointing show, just they had a lot of filler stuff in it that just wasn't really interesting in my opinion. And then they had the little Silent Hill section, and they revealed a shadow drop short game called Silent Hill: The Short Message. And basically it launched on Wednesday. And my suggestion is, even if the reviews for it aren't amazing, everyone go download this right now and keep it on your PS5. Because when the playable trailer for Kojima's Silent Hill dropped, when that got delisted, systems with that playable trailer on the system start selling for like $1,000 a pop, and they still go for hotcakes on eBay. And so I don't know if this game is going to last, but definitely you might want to install this right now and just keep it in the background just in case they delist this. I will get this and I will eventually do a review on it. Right now I'm working on Dead Space and a couple other franchises, and I haven't gotten to my Silent Hill collection yet, but eventually I will. And so definitely I think that's cool that they did this like shadow drop thing, but I'm hearing some negative things about it. But again, it's a free game, so even if it sucks, it's a free game. And then they did another trailer for Silent Hill 2 showing combat. And the weird thing about this is when they announced Silent Hill 2 Remake, I could have swore they announced that it was going to release in the spring of like 23, and I was mistaken about that, and I thought they were going to release it like in April, but It's still an unconfirmed release date, so maybe they delayed it. I'm of the opinion they should take as much time as humanly possible to make sure it sticks to landing. But kind of weird how the release date has been about this remake. So I do have the original Silent Hill 2, not the PlayStation 2 version. I have the 360 HD remake, or remaster, which everyone says is like the worst version to play it, but I got a hell of a discount, so I will be playing that one. And I am interested in getting this one, especially since the controls and camera look so much better than the janky ass controls and camera on the original one. Then after this was a trailer for Ken Levine's new game, Bioshock 4. I'm sorry, Judas. And I know a lot of people are really excited about this. I'm not feeling it, man. I'm getting the impression that Ken Levine is probably a one-trick pony. Because you did Bioshock, which was a hidden city under the sea. And then his next game was Bioshock Infinite, which is a hidden city up in the clouds. And now Judas is looking like a hidden city in space. It's like, how many more times are we going to do the hidden city, guys? Like, seriously. I mean, are you going to do one where it's like a hidden city in, center of the earth? Okay, we did that one. Okay, now a hidden city in, cyberspace. And it's like, I mean, come on, Ken. Do you have anything else besides like a hidden city? Now, there were some things teased in this trailer, like now there's going to be character choice in this game. Okay, I mean, we've seen that before. And, like, apparently your character is the cause of why this city has collapsed. And so, I'm not going to completely write off this game, but the trailers are not selling me right now. And I kind of need to see more just to get me interested. I'm not terribly interested right now. And will it be good? It's possible. But I'm still very dubious. This just seems to me like Bioshock again. I mean, the enemies feel like Bioshock. The mini-boss type enemies feel like Big Daddies. The weapons feel like Bioshock. You have powers that you can use out of like one of your hands while you're shooting a weapon. Bioshock. I mean, like, why this is called Judas and not Bioshock 4, I don't know. And apparently they are working on a fourth Bioshock. I mean, I've been hearing rumors for a better part of 10 years now that supposedly 2K is working on a new Bioshock without Ken Levine. It's like, okay. Now, this State of Play, they had VR 2 news, PlayStation VR 2 news, which PlayStation has desperately needed something with PlayStation VR 2. Like, the last exciting thing from Sony was Resident Evil 4 in VR. And, like, while that's cool, there's really not, like, a system seller, in my opinion, yet for PlayStation VR. And they announced that there's going to be a Metro VR game that's serving as, like, a prequel to the previous 3 Metro games. And that's kind of cool because, like, if you're wanting to play Metro in order, having to play the first 3 games before this one would kind of like, okay, well, I really want to play this VR experience, but I haven't played the first 3 games yet. Apparently, this is a prequel to the first game. So, if you have VR, you can jump right into this one and then play the first 3 games. So, that's kind of cool. This does look really polished. And, well, yes, it's just a trailer. There is a chance that this might be the PlayStation VR 2's version of Half-Life Alyx. It may not be, but I was kind of getting a Half-Life Alyx vibe with this trailer, and well, it does do some things that I wish they would have fixed. Like you just see flowing hands, you don't see the full arms, and I kind of like it when they do the extra effort to have the full arms in a VR game. They've done it with PlayStation VR 1 games, so I know they can do it with PlayStation VR 2. It'd be kind of nice to see the full arms, but apart from that, the trailer looks really good. Definitely something I want to grab when it comes out, and apparently it's coming this year. So PlayStation VR 2 finally has like a system exclusive, and I think it was announced only for PlayStation VR 2. It may come out to the Quest 3 or PC VR, but until I find out more information, I think it's a PlayStation VR 2 exclusive. And so VR 2 owners have something kind of exciting to look forward to justify having the expensive headset. Then there's this new VR game they also announced, Legendary Tales. I was getting kind of Boneworks vibes from this, where you can like custom create different types of weapons. Not quite the freedom that I've seen in that game, but like they were showing you build kind of Marvel Avengers like weapons and crafting all of these like melee weapons, some with like elemental powers, and like that could be fun. Definitely I want to see a couple of reviews first of it before I dive into it, but it does look interesting. I'll give it that. Then they moved on to Dragon's Dogma 2, another trailer for the March 22nd release, and while I do have the first one, I haven't played it yet. I'm not terribly excited about Dragon's Dogma 2. I know a lot of people are, and I might get excited for it once I play the first one. This is going to be sort of, if I see it for a good enough price, I will eventually get it, but like it's not something that I'm gnawing at the bit to get. I know there's a lot of people, it's like, that's the only new game they're excited for. And so, I mean, the trailer looked fine. It looks very polished. It looked pretty. You know, here's hoping that it's a huge hit. Then they did a trailer for Rise of Ronin, which is a third-party exclusive being done by Team Ninja. I'm not excited for this game, and like one of the reasons why I'm not excited for it is I'm watching it. It's like, okay, open world, you're a samurai in feudal Japan, but I already have an open world game where you're a samurai in feudal Japan, and I'm partway through it. It's been a lot of fun, but you kind of get this thing where after a certain point, it's like we have Ghost of Tsushima at home. You know, like my brain's like, oh, you should get that. It's like we have that at home. Now, granted, some people will make arguments that these two are different, but I'm not a guy who's nuts about, you know, samurai and, you know, feudal Japan. And it's like, I already got a game like that. It's been great. And it's like, I don't need more. Especially with the huge backlog of games I have. So that's why I'm not terribly excited about this. Could it be an amazing game? Yeah, it could be absolutely astonishing. I'm just not terribly excited for it. Then they announced a remake of Until Dawn for PS5 and PC. And like, why? The PlayStation 4 version still looks amazing to this day. Now apparently there's going to be a few new like things and choices you can do in the game, and there's a new camera system. And like I can see fixing a camera system, because I think most of the game was fixed camera angles, and that's a bit dated. So if they switch it to like an over-the-shoulder camera system, yeah, that would be kind of interesting. I haven't played through the entire game. I've played through like the first fourth of the game, and it was definitely interesting. I was having a good time with it. Just I got sidetracked with other things, and it was like a PlayStation Plus game I was playing when I had PlayStation Plus. So the big thing of the evening though was Death Stranding 2 on the beach. and it was like a 10-minute trailer they showed off. It's going to be coming in 2025, so not this year, next year. And I don't know what to say about this. This was Hideo Kojima doing the same bullshit he does with every game. Making these weird-ass cryptic trailers that are meant to confuse the living hell out of you. And just there was a few times, I was like, fuck off, Hideo. Good gosh. The most ridiculous thing was Troy Baker with the 80s like red jumpsuit and using an electric guitar as a weapon. Like, that felt like jumping the shark to me. It's like, dude, you're just being weird for the sake of being weird now. This isn't cool. You know, this is kind of stupid. I mean, all the things in the trailer that do look cool, yeah. Some of the like landscape graphics look amazing. Some of the character designs look interesting. It's like, wait a minute, is that George Miller? Like, seriously? You're dragging George Miller into this now? And like there's weird ass shit like the robotic hands that rest over people's collarbone and they act like a second set of hands. It's just like, what is this? Like, seriously, what the fuck? Am I gonna get it? Probably. Just to figure out what the hell the trailers meant, because it's like with Metal Gear Solid 5, those trailers, they were so confusing. It's like, okay, I need to know what this is about. And I stopped playing the game. It's like, okay, so that's what that was. And then with like Death Stranding, I got that. It's like, okay, so that's what that was. And so, I mean, this is going to be a huge exclusive game for Sony. And I'm glad they finally have shown something coming. They need a couple more for this year. Like, I don't think the stuff that's been announced for this year are really going to cut it. Like, for 2025, the big one is Wolverine, Death Stranding 2, the Venom game, and 2024, it's mostly second and third party exclusives for that year. So, I mean, I'm glad we're getting something for Sony, but it just still feels a little bit light. They're doing another State of Play next week, or no, sorry, this week on the 6th for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And so, you know, people have that to look forward to. Death Stranding 2 on the beach. Supposedly it's going to have like more combat encounters instead of it just being a walking simulator. And I'm kind of hoping that they actually do an open world better than kind of what they did in the first one, because while I haven't gotten my review done for the first one yet, I'll kind of talk about one of the things I was a little critical of. You're supposedly traveling across the United States, and the open world's really only the size of like a state. It doesn't feel like you're actually traveling across the country. It feels like you're traveling across a state. And so I was a little disappointed with the size of the open world, and now he's traveling across like Mexico in the ocean, and I'm concerned it's just going to be the size of like a state again. Another thing that's I kind of got the impression is this might be the final chapter to the story of Death Stranding. I don't know if they're going to try and do a trilogy, or if this is just like, after the second one, that's it, it's over, the story's done. I'm getting that a lot more with games now, like God of War, and then God of War Ragnarok. It was just a 2-chapter story, and the reason why they didn't do a trilogy was because they didn't want to spend 15 years on a trilogy. Games require 5-year developments now, and back in the day, they were able to get like a game done in like 2 to 3 years. And so I got the impression that this is more of a final chapter than just a middle chapter for a trilogy. And then they closed the show with them talking about how they're going to do another exclusive with Hideo Kojima on PlayStation for a stealth espionage game that's like Metal Gear Solid, but it's a new franchise, and I think they were calling it like The codename is Physint, Physint, Physint. And it's like, okay, really rolls off the tongue, guys. And they even hinted that it might be for next generation, the PlayStation 6. Probably will be, since games need a 5-year development cycle. They're not going to start working on it until after Death Stranding 2 is out. And then Death Stranding 2 is coming out in 2025. So I don't think it's coming out till like 2030. And then even then, he also has OD with Microsoft. And so probably that's going to come out before this thing. And so probably 2025, you'll see Death Stranding 2. 2027 or 2028, you'll see OD. And then after that, you'll see this Physint game. And so probably it will be a next-gen title. And they didn't really reveal much other than it's a next-generation action espionage game. And it's going to have something involving with Columbia Pictures. So it'll probably be a movie and a game as well. And I don't know. It's the first time I heard Hideo Kojima speak English. So apparently the guy can speak it. Just that always kind of cheesed me off whenever he's being interviewed. Someone will ask him a question in English and he responds in Japanese. It's like, does he have a translator in his ear, or is he just one of those people they refuse to speak the language they're being spoken to? I don't know. But that was the state of play. Are there some things I'm interested in? Yeah. I'm kind of interested in Metro Awakening and Silent Hill and Stellar Blade. The big ones like Judas and the Hideo Kojima projects. I kind of want to see more on them before I make a determination if I'm going to get them. I'll probably get Death Stranding 2, but you know, I want to finish the first one first. I've started twice. For good reason. I'll get in that when I do my review of it. So the next story is from Pure Xbox. And this headline is Huge Insider Report Hints at 10 plus Ubisoft games planned for the next few years. From Assassin's Creed to Splinter Cell. And this article goes on to say, yesterday saw the publication of a big report from Insider Gaming about the current state of Ubisoft from an internal perspective, with suggestions that morale is at an all-time low. That's kind of true. And there have been concerns about things like delayed, canceled games, management issues, and potential of employee cuts at some point in the future. That said, it isn't all doom and gloom, as the report highlights one of Ubisoft's best lineup of games in recent memory for the next few years. Here's what's apparently planned in terms of new Ubisoft releases. Star Wars Outlaw, which is coming out first half of 2024. Assassin's Creed codename Red, I think that's the Japanese samurai one. Second half of 2024. That one, I don't know about. It might be interesting. It depends on how the reveal goes. Then a Ghost Recon mainline entry coming out sometime in 2025 or 2026. Followed by a Far Cry mainline entry in the same time span. A Far Cry multiplayer game. Then Assassin's Creed Hex, which is that like witchcraft, Celtic, like sorcery type one they hinted at. Followed by a new one no one has heard of, Assassin's Creed Invictus. That might be like a Roman themed one. Then the Splinter Cell remake coming in 2025 or 2026. And then the Assassin's Creed Black Flag remake. And then several new Assassin's Creed games to be determined. The report mentions that if Ubisoft can find success with its slate of titles, the feeling both within and around the company is likely to change. That said, it is suggested that a strong change in direction needs to happen first. In terms of recent Ubisoft games on Xbox, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown was a big success from a critical perspective, but apparently not so much a financial run. Reportedly selling around 300,000 copies so far, estimated $15 million in revenue. Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora fared better, raking in a reported 1.9 million players, estimated $133 million in revenue, and Assassin's Creed Mirage is said to stand 5 million players, estimated 250 million in revenue. So when it comes to the games that have been leaked, Star Wars Outlaws I'm not terribly excited about, simply because I was hoping for the open world Star Wars game to be about a Mandalorian, and it's about a scoundrel, smuggler, Han Solo type. And like with the VR game they released for PlayStation VR 2, Galaxy's Edge, or Tales of Galaxy's Edge, you're playing a Han Solo, smuggler, scrounge type. And it's like, come on guys, can we do something kind of interesting? Can you give us a Mandalorian game? Like the last one was released on PlayStation 2, the Jango Fett game. And like Star Wars Outlaws would have been awesome if that character had a jetpack and you gotta do bounty hunting. And they're not doing that. And so I'm not really excited for Star Wars Outlaws. The codename Red for Assassin's Creed, I need to see more with the reveal. I mean, the prospect of an Assassin's Creed game in Japan is kind of cool, but at the same time, they could screw it up with the reveal. Ghost Recon, I don't know. Like, that is a big red flag for me, simply because they ruined the franchise with Breakpoint. Wildlands was so freaking awesome. That was such a cool game. That was like the second golden age of Ubisoft when they released that. That was not just that, but the games released around that time. Wildlands was such a cool game, and Breakpoint, when they made it online only, that was just such a gut punch. And like this next one, even if they announce it and it looks amazing, I'm not going to be excited for it until they confirm it's playable offline. Like, the Breakpoint did not need to be playable, did not need to be online only, and yet they forced it online only. And Breakpoint got so many bad reviews, and so like Ghost Recon, they need to make that offline playable. And then Far Cry, yeah, Far Cry 6 sold decently, but a lot of people have made the fair judgment of the Far Cry series that's kind of going stale. They're just doing the same thing over and over again. And it'll be interesting to see what kind of fill-in, what kind of setting they have, but come on guys, you gotta do something a little bit new. Doing the kitchen sink approach with each one is getting a little old. And then of course there's going to be a multiplayer game, I don't care. Assassin's Creed Hex, I might be interested in, but, have to do a wait and see. Invictus, I don't know, wait and see. Splinter Cell Remake would have been awesome if it was a new Splinter Cell game and not a remake, but hey, anything Splinter Cell at this point would be much appreciated. Assassin's Creed Black Flag Remake, I don't care, because I have Black Flag on my PlayStation, and it's like, it already looks amazing. I don't need a remake. It plays fine. I don't need a remake. And then several new Assassin's Creed games, that's not surprising. So, I mean, I don't know, this list looks okay. A lot of these are just wait and see for me. But moving on. So, this came out like a week and a half back, 2 weeks ago, and the developer for Rec Room announced that a lot of people were asking him, are you going to update Rec Room for PlayStation VR 2? And they came out and made an official statement saying, we can't justify a port for PlayStation VR 2. This headline from Push Square reads, Rec Room dev can't justify a PSVR 2 port. Doesn't make economic sense. The article goes on to read, Rec Room developer Against Gravity has claimed the free-to-play social game won't be getting a PSVR 2 port because it doesn't make economic sense. Speaking on Reddit AMA via Upload VR, co-founder Cameron Brown said that while the studio has looked into making a PSVR 2 version, it's a non-trivial port and we can't justify the cost based on the numbers. In a follow-up from Upload VR, a Rec Room spokesperson told the outlet, we are not working on a PSVR 2 port right now. Would we in the future? Sure, if it makes sense for the business. We worked with Sony for years and have had a lot of successful collaborations there. Sony has shared just one official PSVR 2 sales statistic since the headset launched in February of last year. The only thing we have to go on is a graph including in an earnings call that appeared to show purchases tailing off when compared to PSVR across the first 6 weeks of launch. At that point, it stood at roughly 600,000 units sold. For developer against gravity, at least, it appears that number of adopters is low enough that a Rec Room port wouldn't make financial sense. The free game is supported by microtransactions. And then they go on to talk about it. Okay, so the interesting thing here is PlayStation VR 2, they don't want to acknowledge it's been struggling, but it's been struggling. Especially when you see that there's kind of a lack of heavy hitters coming to PlayStation VR 2. There's a lot of PlayStation Vita 5s going on with this headset right now. It's really expensive. It's not backwards compatible. Something that PlayStation VR 2 was kind of... PlayStation Vita was backwards compatible in a digital-only sense. PlayStation VR 2 is not backwards compatible, and kind of the only thing keeping it alive right now are third-party devs and like ports of like Oculus Quest games and PC VR games coming to it. Kind of the big release that came out recently was Vertigo 2, and that was something that was released on PC VR and Oculus previously. I think it was released on Oculus. But like a lot of stuff coming, it's third-party devs making stuff for it. Sony's not really doing a lot for PlayStation VR 2. Now, with State of Play, they announced the Metro VR game and the like Legendary Tales game. But I mean, that right now, it's cool. It's not enough. And I'm sure they've sold more than 600,000 units since that earnings call, but Sony has a nasty habit. Game devs, not just Sony, Xbox also has a nasty habit of if their thing's not doing well, they don't report on the numbers. When it does great, they report on the numbers. Like, look how well we've done for ourselves. Yeah, no. Sony's not reporting on the numbers for PlayStation VR 2, which tells me PlayStation VR 2 is not selling well. And so it is ridiculously expensive, over $500 for the headset. And so, do I want PSVR 2 to succeed? Yes. I want to see some amazing experiences on there. But Sony, they really need to step up their development for it. Are they going to do another collaboration with Capcom? Unknown. Because, well, Resident Evil 4 VR was a success for Sony. That was a free upgrade for anyone who owned Resident Evil 4. And so it costs money to get those ported. And, you know, that's not really something they can make money off. It's just something that incentivizes people to jump off onto the PSVR 2 bandwagon. Now, something unfortunate that has popped up recently is Spec Ops: The Line has been removed from all storefronts. And Spec Ops: The Line was a game that was backwards compatible on Xbox One and Xbox Series S and X, but it was also available on PC digitally. And this past week, it's been delisted. And so over at Push or Pure Xbox, Spec Ops: The Line has been removed from the Xbox storefront. Multiple partnership licenses from the Xbox 360 game has expired. This article goes on to read, if you never got around to grabbing a digital version of Spec Ops: The Line, your chance to add to your library is now officially over. Game Files Steven Totilo has been officially informed by a 2K representative that the 2012 title is no longer available on online storefronts due to multiple partnership licenses expiring. It's not just a removal from Steam. It will also apply to every online storefront, including Xbox. If you already got a digital copy, there's no need to worry, and you'll be able to continue to play the game without any concerns. And if you got a physical copy, there's also no need to worry. And then, like, the devs pay tribute to the shooter, like a thank you to people. I'll always be proud of the whole Spec Ops The Line team. This is unfortunate because Spec Ops The Line was a really solid game. I have it. I will eventually do a review of it. I have it physically, but like, yeah, no, a lot of people have hailed it as like one of the best stories that came out for an Xbox 360 game back in that time era. People have raved about the story for Spec Ops The Line, and I have played it. It's a really solid story. It's a loose adaptation of Heart of Darkness, which is the book that Apocalypse Now was loosely based off of. And so if you have played it, or you are going to play it, a physical copy that is, you'll definitely notice some similarities with that book and that movie. But like, you know, this is just unfortunate, and this is a good argument for why there needs to still be physical games. And if you have a physical copy of Spec Ops The Line, it's going to go up in price now. Mark my words. In terms of other things going offline, Gran Turismo Sport is one of those games that unnecessarily was online only, and I got it for the VR experience, but one of the biggest issues of this was the heavy focus on online when you didn't need to, and it's now officially been delisted and taken off. The servers are offline now, and this article over Push Square, Gran Turismo Sport's last ever PS4 patch enables offline saves, preserving offline play forever. Yes. The article goes on to read, Gran Turismo Sport controversially tied save files to a server, raising understandable preservation concerns. In addition to an abundance of other issues, however, as Polyphony Digital has terminated the title's online services, it released one final patch which will allow existing owners to save their progress offline, effectively ensuring the title can continue to be enjoyed despite the server switch-off. Obviously, the termination of the release's online services means features like Open Lobby and Sports Mode will henceforth be inaccessible, but all the offline content will remain, and your progress in them. We would like to thank the many users of Gran Turismo Sport online service since its first launch in 2017, Polyphony Digital said. From here on, we will continue to further improve the online services for the currently available title Gran Turismo 7. While this is a positive step from a preservation perspective, it should be noted that select trophies will no longer be unlockable, and all DLC was removed from the PS Store late last year. Obviously, this isn't an ideal situation, but it's good that Polyphony Digital has patched the Eraser to allow offline saves. This at very least preserves some parts of the experience for those who wish to continue to enjoy it. So, I'm very happy that they did this, but this game never needed to be an online-only game. So much of the game that I've played is playable offline. And, like, I did a test one time where I started one of the campaign missions online, got off while I was in the middle of the campaign mission, and then finished it, and I still was able to complete it. Or, like, I was also able to start it off. No, what it was I was able to start it offline, partway through, get my system back on, finish the mission. I still got all the points, but if you complete a campaign mission, you don't get any of the points and whatnot. And it was stupid. I will go on to see if you can still get some of the vehicles on the in-game store offline, but that was ridiculous. You could buy with in-game credits from this in-game store that wasn't managed by, a server, and yet you could only do it online. And that was so stupid. And one of the reasons why I haven't bought Gran Turismo 7 is simply because it's like 100% online only. I do have a review for Gran Turismo 7 coming up soon, though, so keep an eye out for that. But this gets me into the final story of the night, and that is the end of physical games, as it were. Like the other week, we talked about how one of the guys over at Ubisoft was said, you should get comfortable not owning your games. And thankfully, everyone on X started posting this thing. Well, if buying a game doesn't mean I own them, then that piracy doesn't mean I'm stealing them. And I hope everyone drives that home, because, like, yeah, no, that's such a stupid mindset. And, like, there was the whole thing with Starfield. Apparently, that was a recall, because I tried grabbing some copies of Starfield for the supposed 3 cents, and the person at Walmart said, yeah, no, we're not allowed to sell those, because that's a recall. And so, I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe some of you might know. And, like, Xbox just had all of these layoffs, and the rumor is that they laid off their entire physical games department. And, like, this one guy reporting on it, he was saying, now, this doesn't mean they might be getting rid of all physical games. They might just have a third-party outlet do physical games. But he was saying, definitely, this is the writing on the wall. And, like, there's reports that Xbox games are reportedly no longer being stocked at some European retailers. And, like, a lot of people are saying this is the end of physical. And I hate it. And, like, I'm making some serious considerations for maybe not doing any new game content for the channel, because I'm not interested in getting a digital-only console. The only exclusion to that is maybe a Steam Deck, and that's only because I have, like, so many free games I've gotten PC-wise over the past couple of years that if I was to get a Steam Deck, I would just have access to, like, several hundred games that I've gotten for free, just because of, like, the Epic Store, Amazon Games, GOG. I mean, like, I've gotten so many, like, free game offers over the years that, like, a Steam Deck makes sense. But if Xbox announces that the Xbox 720 Hug Kiss that comes out next generation, whatever they call it, they might call it the Xbox 2. Xbox is terrible at naming shit. If it's all digital, that's a big fat no for me. If Sony's next console is all digital, hell no. And so, like, this is, like, a big no for me, because there's, like, 3 things I want from a console. 1, I want to be able to play it offline. 2, I need to be able to play physical on it. And 3, it needs to have backwards compatibility, especially in this day and age. There's a time, sure, I can understand, but you try pulling this nonsense like, well, the new console's too advanced. Bitch, there are kids in their basement that can make a game work on their laptop through emulation. I don't want to hear that it's too advanced, okay? Xbox was able to make backwards compatibility work on the Xbox One after it came out. And this nonsense of, well, people want it, but no one ever plays it. I'm playing through Dead Space 3 right now on backwards compatibility. I've bought so many digital backwards compatible games on the Xbox Marketplace. So don't give me this nonsense that no one likes backwards compatibility. But going back to the physical aspect, some of these websites that I frequent with news, they've put out some polls. Like Pure Xbox put out this poll: how many physical Xbox games do you have in your collection? And like this first one, they had like 3 polls with 2,339 votes. How many physical Xbox One Series X games do you own? The first option was none at all at only 18%. 18. That's it for the all-digital crowd. This supposed, well, everyone's doing all-digital now. 1 to 5 is at 14%, so you can lump that in with the physical crowd. Even the 6 to 10 at 9%, you could probably lump into the physical crowd. But then the next one's 11 to 25, 15%. 26 to 50, 15%. 51 to 100, 13%. 101 plus, 16%. That is a huge majority of gamers. Only 41% of the people on this poll you could argue, are all digital. 59 still have physical. That's not the only poll, though. They also did one with how many physical OG and Xbox 360 games do you own, with 1,919 votes. Only 21% were none at all. 1 to 5, 10%. 6 to 10, 6%. 11 to 25, 13. 26 to 50, 15. 51 to 100, 14, and 101 plus, 20%. And then their final poll on the same article was, with 2,035 votes, would you be sad if Xbox stopped making physical games? 57% said, of course, it'd be terrible. 21% said it'd be a shame, but I'd understand. I'll say 10% of that could go to the 57, so let's say 67%. And then give 11% of that to the, it wouldn't bother me that much, be honest. So 22 plus 11, that'd be 33. So 67 to 33. Okay? So this argument that people are done with physical games is bullshit. It's just something that the corporations want to push so that they can make more money, because they make more money off digital than physical, especially in used games. And then, like, over on Push Square, they released a poll, do you still buy physical video games? Only 932 people voted on that, but 44% said yes, I only buy physical games. 39% said sometimes, but only if it's cheaper or a game I love. Only 17% said no, I'm basically all digital these days. It's not the vast majority of people. This is just a corporate push. And so, I love physical. I love the look of the case. I love looking at the box art, the back, opening it up, looking at the disc art, looking at the stuff. If it's a game that I regret buying, I can trade it in or give it away. Digital, there's been a few times I buy a digital game, I play it, it sucks, and it's like I'm stuck with it. I'm surprised Microsoft or Sony haven't come up with like a process where you can like forfeit your license for a small discount on another game. Like, I'm amazed no one's done that yet, because that would be great. You know, like, I bought Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 2022 digitally, and I hate it, and it's like I'm stuck with this. And I have some digital games, it's like it's in my, you know, library, and I don't have it installed on my system, but I'm stuck with it. And it's like the all digital future looks so bleak, and then something gets delisted and you pay good money for it, and oh well, you can't play it anymore, servers are offline, and it sucks. It absolutely sucks. And like, honestly, I'm getting less and less excited for newer games, and if everything goes all digital, I don't know, it may be only one game after a few years with the new console. It's like, be kind of nice to play that, but the digital only is kind of throwing me off. When Xbox announced that Hellblade 2 was going to be an all digital game and there's not going to be any physical copies, I lost a lot of interest in that. Alan Wake 2, I was kind of interested in it, and then they said it's going to be digital only. It's like, yeah, I'm kind of lost interest. It was a tough pill to swallow when I found out that VR games were mostly digital. It's like, really sucks, but fine. But, I mean, PlayStation 5, Xbox 2, or whatever they call it, no, I'm not interested. And I'm especially not interested in getting them at the launch of the generation. If I do get a next-gen console, it's going to be a few years in when I can see how things are looking. Because if I was to do it over again, I probably, 3 years in, would have gone with the Xbox over the PS5 if I was just getting one. This generation was kind of a fluke. I'm not going to get both generations again next generation, because, you know, one was a gift, one was an intentional purchase, and it's like, yeah, honestly, I can't spend enough time on all my consoles. And so definitely, if I even consider getting one next generation, it's going to be a couple years in. And even that, I'm seriously considering not doing new games anymore on the channel with how the way the future of gaming is looking. And I got enough content to cover my channel for years. Plus, my passion is movies, and so it's not like the channel's going to die off if I don't continue on with gaming past this generation. But it is going to hurt my channel, definitely. A lot of my newer stuff does better than my older stuff, hands down, but I really don't feel like doing an all-digital console. So, fun thought to end on on that note. But yeah, so what do you guys think of this week's episode? Say off in the comments down below. That's been our look at the state of play, some of the news in the past couple of weeks. And my name's Christopher Connell with 11 Hour Views, and that'll be all for today's episode of the Console Wars podcast.